During the All-Star game, Anthony Edwards made a comment that currently has Timberwolves fans worried. That viral comment, "I can't wait to come home," has fans buzzing about what it could mean. Could this just be Anthony Edwards making small talk? Perhaps, but the first thing that came to everyone's minds is that Anthony Edwards, a Georgia native who grew up in Atlanta, might be hinting at a desire to return to play for his home state. The fact that he said this to the Hawks' newly minted All-Star Jalen Johnson could mean a lot more, however. Let's provide some context to the video. At this part of the clip, Ant mentioned something about Kuminga. What do these NBA stars know about Jonathan Kuminga that the Warriors coaching and front office seemingly don't? If you recall, after being left out of the Warriors rotation for much of the last portion of last season after coming back from an ankle injury, Jonathan Kuminga came back and played against the Rockets. With Jimmy Butler being injured, Steve brought a player back into the rotation during the playoffs. A subsequent injury to Steph Curry saw JK enter the series against the Timberwolves. For the next 4 games, Jonathan Kuminga made the Warriors-Timberwolves series watchable, providing an offensive punch while putting defensive pressure on Anthony Edwards. With Jimmy playing through injury, he was limited on both ends of the floor, so we didn't get to see the pair play with Jimmy at his best. That didn't stop JK, however, who clearly made an impact on Timberwolves coach Chris Finch.
And with the Warriors, Chris, props to Jonathan Kuminga. Seriously, I mean, he attacked and got some makes over Rudy. Kuminga's gifted, isn't he?
He is. He is a very gifted scorer. He's got that. He reminds me a little bit of Ant. He's got that scorer's mentality. He's going to be able to get to his spots. He's going to come downhill on you. He's going to put his shoulder on you and hit you before he finishes. I give him great props, too, because he's been out of the rotation for quite a while. And for him to be able to come into this series and be able to contribute like that, it's a credit to him and his professionalism, staying ready, and, of course, his talent and skill.
But it wasn't just the Timberwolves head coach that was impressed. Jonathan's performance in the Timberwolves series is likely what drove Ant's comment.
The poster dunk by me?
Yeah, on Kevon Looney.
Nah, I feel like when Kuminga dunked on me, that got me going more so anything. Yeah.
The big story here, however, is what appears to be Ant-Man's interest in returning home to possibly play alongside an established All-Star and another player who clearly has All-Star potential to form a group of one of the most intriguing mid-court players in the league. The last part of Ant's comment, "Y'all got so many wings," is definitely not about the lemon pepper variety. So here goes. Is Anthony Edwards planning on teaming up with 2 other young All-Star caliber players at home in the East, or is it just wishful thinking? Check ball. This past weekend's All-Star game was one of the best and most competitive in recent years. Adam Silver's new format pitting 3 teams, Team World, Team Stripes, and Team Stars, which essentially were World All-Star versus Young American All-Stars versus Old American All-Stars, was a hit as we saw performances we hadn't otherwise seen in years. Load managing clearly works because Kawhi Leonard went on an absolute tear, demolishing the World team mostly by himself. His insane performance, scoring 31 of the team's 48 points in just 12 minutes, while going 11 of 13 from the field and 5 of 6 from 3 before finishing up with an ISO step-back triple to rip the hearts out of the World team to win by 3 for a final tally of 6 of 7 from beyond the arc, shows how dominant of a player Kawhi is when healthy. His incredible performance put him as the best player in the world at that moment and shows you what he's truly capable of doing as a player. This does, however, put some perspective on Klay Thompson's 37 points in a single quarter, which still serves as the NBA's record. But even so, Kawhi Leonard did not win the Kobe Bryant Trophy, aka the All-Star Game MVP. Those honors instead went to the star of the young team that demolished Team Stripes in the final game of the night. That player was Anthony Edwards. Considering this was one of the more competitive All-Star games, this puts Edwards in an elite category and cements his bid for the future face of the league. So when a player like Edwards makes a comment on returning home, you better pay attention. Considering his interactions with Jalen Johnson during the All-Star game, it's clear he's fond of Johnson as a player. That's usually the first bit of rumbling that leads to players moving on to a different team. An example of this is LeBron James going to Miami to team up with D. Wade and Kevin Durant going to Brooklyn to play with Kyrie. Had LeBron won a championship with Cleveland, or had Kevin Durant won a third chip with the Golden State Warriors, things might have been a little bit different. But obviously, there is only one history, and it's the one we know. That means, unless the Timberwolves win a championship in the next couple of years, we might actually see Edwards make a move to play in Atlanta next to Jalen Johnson and another player who gained his respect in Jonathan Kuminga. Edwards knows that it's a wings league, and both Kuminga and Johnson are two of the best wings in the league. A duo like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum were able to bring a championship to Boston with a decent supporting cast of role players. Now imagine a team of potentially 3 All-Stars, at least one of whom is approaching MVP caliber, all the athleticism in the world with a couple of additional floor spacers. That Atlanta Hawks team could be a lot of trouble and would likely hold the gateway to the East. With that being said, what is the possibility of this happening? Anthony Edwards is currently 24 years old and in the second year of a 5-year rookie max extension. He doesn't become a free agent until 2029 at 27 years old. At that point, he'll be eligible to sign a supermax extension worth possibly over $400 million, up to $461 million if he signs for 5 years at 35% of the projected salary cap. That works out to be roughly $92 million a year, a deal only the Timberwolves can offer. If Edwards decided to forego that deal and still go to Atlanta, the most they could offer him is $280 million over 4 years, or $70 million per year. That's $20 million in yearly salary being left on the table for Edwards to go play for Atlanta. For those who don't know, the Timberwolves retained Edwards' bird rights, which allows them to offer him that supermax contract. Minnesota clearly values Edwards as their number 1 option. However, that team is currently the 6th seed in the Western Conference and not nearly in the same category as the OKC Thunder or Spurs, 2 teams projected to become even better in the coming years. The Timberwolves, on the other hand, are relying on players that are older than both of those teams with less star power than what he'd have in Atlanta. Edwards playing alongside Jalen Johnson and Jonathan Kuminga could put them in the same conversation as that of the Pistons and Spurs and even the Thunder, all of which would be young athletic teams with very competitive players, all of whom would be in their prime. From a purely competitive perspective, the Wolves have the next 3 years to surround Edwards with a competitive roster. Considering they traded Karl-Anthony Towns, the franchise's former cornerstone, they're clearly willing to do whatever they think it takes to win. In fact, if they can't compete within that time frame, they might be willing to engage in trade talks that would likely cost Atlanta multiple first-rounders plus salary matching to allow the Timberwolves to attempt to rebuild on Atlanta's future picks. This move does become less likely if Edwards becomes the league MVP. However, if he falls short a couple of years, this would give the Hawks an opportunity to snatch him from an affordability standpoint while being able to pay Jalen Johnson as well as Jonathan Kuminga if that pair shows that they can be a threat in the Eastern Conference. So how would these salaries work? Johnson is locked into a 5-year, $150 million contract through 2031, which seems like a bargain for the Hawks at the moment, with Johnson's projected ceiling as one of the best playmaking forwards in the league. Jonathan Kuminga is eligible to sign a 4-year deal worth up to $116 million as the Hawks acquired his bird rights in the recent trade, or up to $29 million a year. If the pairing of Johnson and Kuminga live up to Ansi Saleh's expectations, the Hawks would likely pick up JK's team option for $24 million while signing him to a deal for that 4-year extension. This should allow them plenty of cap room to acquire solid pieces around the duo to compete. If they're able to make the playoffs, potentially getting to the second round, this could entice free agents around the league, including Giannis or Jokic, both of whom become available next year. If the Timberwolves, however, at that point are unable to provide enough help for Edwards, the Hawks might decide it's time for them to make a move. I've said this before, but just to reiterate, if Edwards wants to go to Atlanta, that's where he's going to end up going regardless of where the Timberwolves want to send him. If he plays out his contract and tells the Wolves general manager Matt Lloyd that the Hawks are his preferred destination, the Timberwolves will likely hear trade packages from the Hawks that could result in a deal sending Anthony Edwards to the East. This could be the most dangerous Hawks team since they lost to the Bucks in 2021, who went on to win the NBA Finals. While most of this is speculation at this point, it's clear there is interest from Anthony Edwards in playing alongside a potential duo of Johnson and Kuminga. The Hawks would obviously not object to acquiring Edwards if there's an opportunity, and the opportunity is only a matter of time. So without a doubt, for Minnesota, the clock is ticking. On the other hand, the Ant-Man might just want to get home for the summer. What do you guys think of Edwards playing in Atlanta next to JK and JJ? What do you think the ceiling would be for such an athletic team? Lastly, what other players might the Hawks need to add to that core to make it a championship caliber team? Post your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Till next time, swish.